Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Circuit Zolder for the Crest Autosport Race Room League's World Touring Car Challenge. Round 2 of the championship, as we said, from here, Circuit Zolder, the home of DTM. Here on the 16th of February, we progress into the season following the opening round last week at Donington Park, and what a round it was. But here, round 2 at Zolder Circuit. Now, a little bit about this circuit. It's in East Belgium, and we are racing on the Grand Prix layout, rather presumably because it's pretty much the only layout of Zolder. Not too much shorter in terms of distance around the track than Donington Park. I think it's something like 10 meters shorter, and that's about it. The length of Donington Park compared to Zolder, so fairly familiar length times with these drivers today. But at 2.5 miles and just over 4 kilometers, drivers are taking on this track, which has been quite popular over the years in racing. It hosted the Formula 1 Belgian Grand Prix in the 70s. Of course, nowadays we know it is hosted in Spa-Francorchamps, but there was once upon a time where Zolder was a more suitable track than Spa-Francorchamps. It has hosted DTM since DTM's formation, really, and it is referred to as the home of DTM. So rather fitting location for us tonight. And it's also hosted the World Touring Cars Race of Belgium. And it's quite the venue, quite a prestigious venue in terms of motorsport. 17 turns for the drivers to take on tonight. It's quite a twisty little track, quite a short track as well, of 17 turns, 10 to the right and 7 to the left. And what's in store for us tonight? Well, our itinerary is going to contain plenty of competitive action. We've got 20 minutes of qualifying starting in just about 8 minutes time from now, and that will of course set the grid for race 1 of the night. Race 1 will be a 20-minute race, and then almost immediately after race 1 it will be a 30-minute or half an hour race, where the grid will be based on the results of race 1, but the top 10 finishers of race 1 will be reversed to form the grid. So the driver who finishes in first in race 1 will start 10th in race 2, and the driver who finishes 10th in race 1 will start on pole position for race 2. That's tonight's itinerary, but what cars are we looking at tonight? Well, we've mentioned DTM numerous times. It's because we're racing DTM cars in this series. This is the World Touring Car Challenge Gone Classic, and we are racing the DTM of 1992 category. These are 4 of the 5 manufacturers that featured in the championship back in 1992, and these are very, very popular cars on Race Room. They've been on Race Room for a very long time, and they still to this day remain very popular and very difficult to drive, as we saw last week at Donington Park. The cars we have got, which range so much in weight, so much in brake horsepower, they're all very different in terms of looks, speed, characteristics and handling. But we have the Ford Mustang GT DTM, a monstrous sounding car with a very, very loose rear end, but a very heavy car with lots of grunt to get it down those big long straights. We've got the BMW M3 Sport Evolution, probably one of the most iconic cars from this period of touring car racing and DTM, and probably one of the most popular in the field racing today. We have got the Opel Omega 3000 Evo 500. Quite a lot of drivers are racing this one, but it is a classic looking touring car, a fantastic vehicle. And the Mercedes 190e Evo 2 DTM, and it is the car that on this season of 1992, I believe, won the championship that year. And that livery, I do believe it was Ludwig who won the championship that season. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure that's right without looking at Wikipedia in an instant right now. But not a very popular car in this series, and it's because it is so difficult to handle. It's got a very, very loose rear end. But the Mercedes is one of those cars where if you can find your feet with that car, you're going to be quick. And they are the cars we are racing in this World Touring Car Challenge Gone Classic. And what about the tracks that we're racing this season? Well, they're as follows. It's quite a short season, 6 rounds all in all, spreading across 7 weeks, and we're already 1 round in. You can sign up to this championship still. Sign up at crestautosport.com. and we'll get you involved in these races. But the tracks we are racing this season, we started off at Donington Park Grand Prix circuit last week, and we're here at Zolder in Belgium this week. Next week, we're heading south to France, the south of France, for the Paul Ricard circuit. Now, I know Paul Ricard isn't a favourite among motorsports fans, but believe me, the layout we're racing, and with these cars, that is going to be a really cool round to watch and drive. So do keep an eye on next week's round at Paul Ricard. 2 weeks after Paul Ricard is hosted, a week off in between rounds 3 and 4 is what we mean there, but we are off to Australia, down under, for the Bathurst Mount Panorama circuit. And of course it hosted touring cars in the super touring car era of the late 90s, early 2000s, once upon a time. Bathurst hosts round 4 of the championship, and watching these cars go over that big mountain is going to be real fun to watch. Round 5 of the championship, not traditionally a touring car track, but Interlagos will host the 5th round of the championship, a fairly new track to Race Room, and it is quite the track. It is a classic among motorsport fans and continues to present thrilling races in Formula 1 to this day. And the final round, of course, is going to end at the Nordschleife. It's DTM, of course. The big Nordschleife, the 24-hour layout of Nordschleife, will host the final round of the championship, round 6, on the 23rd of March. So we move on over to the live action. Drivers out for practice at the moment, and it's quite a decent sized grid today. Really impressed with the turnout we got tonight. At the moment we've got 18 drivers, and I was actually half expecting 19 drivers to be here tonight, so it's quite an interesting one. Maybe one more driver yet to turn up. It might be the latecomer from last week. I'm sure if you remember from last week there was a latecomer who proceeded to light up the grid as soon as they turned up. We'll mention more about that later. We've got a little bit more housekeeping to get over and done with before we head into qualifying for tonight's action. So yeah, welcome along, ladies and gentlemen, if watching on YouTube. Please do give us a like, please do give us a subscribe. It does help the channel, it does help the organisation, and of course it means you can keep up to date with all the races we've got coming on our YouTube channel. So, let's get into the nitty-gritty. So, let's have a recap of what happened last time out at Donington Park. These were the results of last week's races. There were 2 races last week, as there are tonight. And in the first race, the table on the left, Michael Clough won the first race. And he won it quite convincingly as well, taking pole position, taking the fastest lap, and taking the win. So it was looking like an excellent round and an excellent championship in the making for Michael Clough, with Diogo Quintal not too far behind. About 3 to 4 seconds behind, but he kept him honest, and he did pick up good points in second place there for the eMotion Virtual Spirit team. And Paul Hans taking third from Jeff Purkis to take that podium spot in that race. And the biggest mover off the field, and of course we just mentioned the latecomer, that is Elliot House. He will be here late for this race presumably, but he in race 1 last week lit up the grid by moving up 7 places to 7th place, and really put on a show in that opening race of the night. Moving over to race 2, it was all about Diogo Quintal in that race though. Fastest lap, and he won and gained 8 places from 9th on the grid to 1st place to win that race. He had to work hard for it though. He had to move through the field, of course, and Coleman Corkery held the lead in that race, as did Nikolai Mikov for quite a long time, and they did really well until Diogo Quintal was eventually too much, and he moved into the lead of the race and took the win by just shy of 5 seconds in the end. Moving up 5 places to 3rd place in this race was Paul Hans. He had a great round, and it went a little bit unnoticed if I'm being honest, but what a round Paul Hans did to finish getting 2 third places in this round. Good job to him. Jeff Purkis and Ollie Hansen also putting in good races, finishing 4th and 5th consistently in races 1 and 2. Michael Clough, who won the first race, down there in 8th places, you'll see, just didn't have the luck in race 2. Just had endless issues in that race, both on track and off track, I believe. But I'm sure he'll be back this week to pounce back. So that is the results from last week. What about the Drivers' Championships? Well, it's all overall at the moment. There's no categories just yet, though there might be at a later date. Diego Quintal obviously finishing first and second last week and getting a few bonus points along the way. Takes the lead in the championship out of round 1, and he leads it by 14 points from Michael Clough. Third place, Paul Hands. Well, he finished third in the races. He may as well be third in the championship. But 22 points behind. If he can keep up the good, consistent results, you could fancy him for the championship. Jeff Perkis in 4th position now on 64 points. And Coleman Corkery, who is unfortunately not racing tonight, 5th in the championship after a good performance in race 2 last week. Ollie Jansen in 6th place with Nikolai Mikov in 7th, followed by Fabio Andrade in 9th position. Rodrigo Portugal in tied 8th place, and Lee Balmer rounds off the top 10. So we have got a lot of drivers in this series, and if I can count quickly, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 drivers signed up to this series. And we have got 19 out there. There we go. So the person who turns up late has finally turned up. Oh no, he hasn't actually. It's looking like it's going to be 20 drivers tonight, which is interesting. Very interesting. Yes, very, very, very. And quite a good grid of these DTM cars. You can see there's quite a big British presence in this championship. There's quite a big Portuguese presence in this championship as well, as we are just about to move ourselves into qualifying. The second qualifying session of the championship. And there's a couple of new drivers tonight, just to mention but a few. We've got Steph Kramers. He's taken part for the first time tonight. It's his first time taking part in a Crest Autosport Championship since World Touring Car Challenge Season 2 or 3, one of them. I think it might have been Season 3, and I remember because I went hammer and tongs with him at Brands Hatch in the WTCR cars. It was good fun, that was, racing against him, so I quite fancy him as one of the favourites for tonight. He's a seriously good driver, takes part regularly in the esports stuff, so yeah, certainly keep your eyes on him tonight. We've got Nigel Stock. He's one of our drivers. He's a Crest Autosport Resi driver, and he's taking part in the BMW tonight. We'll see how he gets on tonight. Other drivers, well, not necessarily a new driver tonight, but Alex Ward had to jump ship last week. He had to go rescue his better half, other half. Her car broke down last week, bless her, and he had to go sort it out, and he's a good egg, isn't he? But he's back this week in the glorious sounding Mustang, and he's hoping to pick up some points this week, I'm sure. He's hoping to, he couldn't help what happened last week, but he's hoping to get himself a good run of results this week to make up for it. Giamaro Paunisa. I'm going to struggle to say that all night. A new driver tonight in the Mercedes. I've seen Paunisa race in a few races in WTCI. He's done pretty good in that, and I think he's done the GT Cup from Crest Autosport here and there. So welcome along to Giamaro. Hope he does quite well. And we've also got a new driver in the name of Ricardo Pessoa Santos. Now, if you know the Crest Autosport World Touring Car Challenge, you'll know this driver. He's been taking part in the World Touring Car Challenge for quite a few seasons now. And welcome along to him, making it ever the more the big Portuguese presence that is in this championship. And, yeah, welcome along to all drivers. 20 drivers we've got on the grid today. Brilliant, brilliant turnout. So, we are going to take a lap of Zolder. I always do this. I always take you on a ride of the track. And we're going to go with the championship leader. And that person is Diogo Quintal. And he is making his way, warming up his tyres as priority. Warming up his tyres, making his way towards the start-finish line. Through the final chicane we go, and onto the main straight we go. Up the gears we go from 2nd gear, and we'll go up to 5th gear, and we'll break down for the first corner into Erster. 3rd gear we go, clipping the curb on the inside, power down pretty late on, taking a little bit of that outside curve. Now going into turn 2, and I'm damned if I can say this, Sterrenwachtbocht, I think it's pronounced. And now into the Kanalbocht, turn 3, of the track. Up the gears to 5th gear, not quite changing up into 6th. Round the next corner we go, the Lucien Bianchebocht. That is turn number 4 of this track. Up the straight here, the longest straight on the track, and we'll brake heavily down to 2nd or 3rd gear. We'll find out for the chicane, one of the most difficult corners in Europe. Oh, skipping along those curves really well through the clean chicane there. Up the hill, and we'll go through the butte, or the butte, whatever it's called, into the Villeneuve chicane. Rather tragically named the Villeneuve chicane, because this is where Villeneuve took his last breath, unfortunately. A horrendous crash in the 70s. So long may it be in his memory. And through Quintal goes. He actually backed off quite a bit there, going through the Telemenbocht. Breaking down into one of the slowest corners on the circuit. Missed the apex a little bit there, and the rear end gets loose into the Boulderbocht. I am struggling to say these names, but quite a good first sector at the moment for Quintal. Not a great second sector, although not bad. Now we head into the final chicane, which we've seen him go through already. 2nd gear, down to 70 kilometers per hour. And now up we go, taking all the track on the exit there to make sure the wheel is as straight as possible. And that final chicane, the Jackie X chicane, named after one of the most famous Belgian drivers there's ever been. And Diogo finishes the lap, and he goes 2nd in the standings at the moment. So he'll definitely want better than that, but it is this man at the top at the moment. Stef Kramer's in the Mercedes. Now I did say expect this man to be amongst the top runners. He's going to be quite hard to beat tonight. But our race winners last week, Diogo Quintal and Michael Clough, have got some work to do. And Michael Clough, I was going to suggest if he was doing the same as last week. He set a time and he was blistering, and he decided to sit in the pits for the rest of the session and just wait for the bonus points, wait for the qualifying to end and take pole position. That he's not doing. He's deciding to get a lap in, then go in fresh tyres and then head straight back out. But at the looks of it at the moment, with the exception of Kramer's, it's the top 3 in the championship who are lying astern at the moment at the top of the standings. Paul Hans takes 4th place at the moment with a 137.7, about half a second down from his championship rivals up ahead, and about 7/10ths down from the top spot, Stef Kramer's at the moment. So some work to do for Paul Hans in what is his home series, his home car. Not quite the home track for him just yet, but the German driver in the German car, in the German car category, at the home of DTM. Jeff Perkis, 5th place at the moment, just behind Paul Hans, and he saw a lot of the back of Paul Hans' car last week. He'll be hoping for the opposite this week, that is for certain. Both of them in the Tic Tac livery, which is rather infuriating for a broadcaster / commentator like myself, but hey-ho, we'll get by. So we have 15 drivers who set times at the moment. Nigel Stock, Santos, Lopez, Paunesser and House are yet to set times at the moment. So let's put it on auto direct. Let's see what's going on. Let's see what's occurring on the track, as we say in Wales. We've got Stef Kramer's here going even faster than he had on his previous lap. Let's see how he'll get on in Sector 3 here. Sectors 1 and 2 looking very, very good indeed. So as he heads through the Jochen Rindt... is it the Jochen Rindt chicane? Yes, it is. The Jochen Rindt chicane. And now into the Jackie X chicane. Now Jackie X is named after the 2 corners there here. He's also named after what was the corner with no name at Spa-Francorchamps, the corner after Bruxelles and the corner before Perron. Obviously one of the most famous drivers, as well as maybe Jochen Rindt. Any other real famous Belgian drivers? Well, Thierry Neuville in WRC, quite popular. And Belgium do turn out some pretty good drivers, let's be honest. So, Kramer's, he did go quicker. He is set a 136.6, and that puts him 6/10ths clear of Diogo Quintal. That's going to take some beating, as we see Fabio Andrade pull over in the pits there. Now we turn our eyes to Remo Schneider. Now, Remo Schneider had a difficult outing last time out at Donington Park. The second race he retired, and that really set him back in the championship. So he's back here, 10th at the moment in the standings for qualifying. He'll certainly hope for better, but the former Category 2 champion of Crest Autosport, that's back in Season 3. He'll definitely be hoping for some good turn of fortune tonight. 18 drivers on the board at the moment. And the man who turns up late, Elliot House, oh, he's off there, and I think that was the chicane, the clean chicane. And he's come into the pits. Had a little bit of drama there. See him back out on the track very shortly. Who else we got on the track at the moment? Let's go into the hairpin to watch Alex Ward go through the hairpin. Now he's up on his his personal best, but he is 2 and near half seconds off the top spot. Now the top spot is certainly going to take some beating, but Alex Ward might well be able to go up a few positions. Oh, it wasn't a very clean exit from the Jackie Ickx chicane there. Does he cross the line? No, he doesn't. He stays where he is in 14th at the moment, but we'll see what he can do in the later laps. Giacomo Paunasa, he's up on his previous 13th. Does he move up? No, he doesn't. It's a terrible, terrible final sector. He lost 3 seconds somewhere in that final sector. Might have been a half spin or something like that, but he'll look for another time, another good time on this next lap he takes. Now, a lot of drivers really getting in the green splits now, as we can see Paul Hans here. Now, as it stands, he'll remain 4th, but it will reassure 4th place for him. We'll see what he can do, where he can get himself position-wise. At the end of this lap, 4th place is going to be what he can do time-wise, excuse me. At the end of this lap, it's at 1:37.5. He does go quicker, but he stays in 4th place, as we mentioned. But, oh, there we go. Michael Clough comes across the line, and we said that he likes to do one-lap bursts. That one-lap burst has put him into 2nd place, just shy of half a second off Steph Kramer, so still a lot of work to do for him. But he puts himself 2nd, ahead of who is his championship rival at the moment, Diogo Quintal. So, good stuff from Michael at the moment. What else can he do? We'll stay with him for the time being. Let's see how he gets on in first split. He's actually down on his previous in the first split. Oh, he really hammers it through that chicane there. It was quite impressive. Let's keep an eye on him in this 2nd sector. And oh, and look who's actually, we'll come back to Michael Clough, because look who's just gone into 2nd place and only just shy of a 10th off Steph Kramer's. It is Diogo Quintal. This is going to be a furious battle between Michael Clough and Diogo Quintal all the way through this season. And I think we just saw Steph Kramer's go a little bit quicker, only a tiny bit quicker. But he's coming to the pits and he's heading back out on track. He might be feeling the pressure a little bit from Diogo, who I think has his teammate behind him. No, he doesn't. That is actually Remo Schneider behind him following. And they do look like teammates being in the same Opel. And that is because the Opel Omega on Race Room only has 1 livery, which is a shame really, because it's a cool car which would feature some real cool liveries if there were any available. But truth be told, the Opel Omega only had 1 car in the DTM 1992 as the battle rages on between Quintal and Clough, but it extends out to the whole of the top 3 now as Michael Clough puts in a time only 0.02 slower than Steph Kramer's. It is close, less than a 10th between the top 3 right now in qualifying with 8 minutes remaining in this session. What a battle we're seeing from these drivers. Let's see what else Quintal can do. I believe he's on an out. No, he's not on an out lap. He's on a slow lap at the moment, but he might be gearing himself up for a quick lap here. Steph Kramer's, what's he up to? Takes a while for the times to turn up. I think this is an out lap for him. We saw him exit the pits not too long ago. So him and Clough are on out laps at the moment. Diogo Quintal crossed the line, does not go quicker, obviously, but this is a new flying lap for the Portuguese driver. Let's see what he can do. We'll stick with him for the time being. Let's see how he'll get on, and then we'll switch to Clough or Kramers. I can't remember which one is further around the track. but we'll see. We will see. Heading towards the end of Sector 1. Oh, it's purple. Oh, here we go. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Diogo Quintal is on it. And there's a bit of a shuffle in amongst from 5th downwards. Nikolai Mikov, who held the lead for quite a long time in race 2 at Donington Park last time out. He's there in 5th place, and Rodrigo Portugal, he was very quiet last week and did struggle with a few spins. 6th for him at the moment. Brilliant, brilliant improvement from him following last week. Long may that continue. Love seeing drivers develop and get themselves better. Clough starts a new lap, and this will be his first flying lap of this stint. We'll see how he gets on. Steph Kramer's here. He is a bit further on in the lap, so he'll come next. We'll see how he gets on in Sector 1 here. And we'll switch over to Quintal because he'll be heading towards the end of his lap. Oh, actually, I think Steph Kramer's has invalidated his lap. So, yeah. We'll see how he gets on in the next lap. Quintal. Oh, he doesn't go quicker. He was slower in Sector 2 and not bad in Sector 3, actually. So there's potential there for Quintal. There certainly is. And he's really going to be hammering it to get it into that top spot. We know that is 2 bonus points on offer for the person who puts it on pole position in this championship of each round. Now, Steph Kramer's, he's missed a round, and there's no drop rounds, so he will know deep down that he won't be able to fight for championships, potentially, unless he can win every race. Stranger things have happened, but we'll see how he'll get on. But he's certainly not going to back off. Why not? If you're going to race, you're going to race for the win. Fabio Andrade puts it into 6th place. Jeff Perkis puts it into 7th place, dropping Rodrigo Portugal down to 8th. Kremers will cross the line to start another lap here. And Clough comes out of the final corner. This was meant to be a flying lap from him. How's he going to do? It looks pretty good, actually. Across the line he goes with a 136.5, and he puts himself to the top of the standings. And it's not much clear, but 8/10 clear of Steph Kremers. Michael Clough holds pole position for the moment. What a session we're seeing here, and each of these drivers just getting quicker and quicker and quicker as the session goes on. What about Diogo here? How's he going to do on this lap? Not very good by the looks of it. Okay, he might be on very old tyres here, so I do wonder if he's going to swap them over and try and go for a one last dash. Kremers is in the pits. He's gone in for fresh tyres. He feels the pressure. He knows he's going to have to put in a big stint here to get it to the top of the standings. What a fantastic qualifying session we're watching here. And they're all 1 second clear. Well, not quite, but they're all near enough. A second clear of the rest of the pack. That's how dominant these drivers were last week. Quintal. A 10th down. And slower than his personal best. What about Michael Clough? What's he up to? Oh, he's held up a little bit there. And he did get a little bit loose in that final chicane. He was up in Sector 1 and he was only a little bit down in Sector 2. There's plenty left in the tank for these drivers by the looks of it, but he's being held up by the drivers ahead. Now, there's so many tic-tac liveries in the field. I think that's... Oh, there we go. Oh, dear. That didn't quite work out. That was Nigel Stock, and I think that's Paul Hans. Yeah, and Michael Clough will have to try another lap there, and that might have compromised his next lap because that was in the final corner. Diogo Quintal not going quicker. I think he is on old rubber. He hasn't been in the pits for a long time. So, is he just settling for 3rd here? I'm not entirely sure. And I think he's got Carl Smith ahead of him. Here we go. He comes into the pits. He doesn't have time to go for another lap, though. So Quintal will not have pole position, and Michael Clough's in the pits. He will not go for another lap. It's all down to Steph Kremers, I reckon, here. Unless another driver can put in a lap. Kremers has one last chance to try and take back his pole position, which he's held for much of the session here. He starts the lap. Round turn 1 he goes. Smooth as silk. Using all the track. A car up ahead. I believe that is Carl Smith just up. Oh, it might be Jeff Perkis actually, but let's hope that they don't get in the way of Steph Kramer's here. Steph is going to get quite a bit of slipstream from this car. There's a car who's spinning in the background just then. I think that was Ramo Schneider. Oh, and the slipstream is definitely helping, and out of the way goes that car. I think it is Jeff Perkis. Yes, it is. He very politely gets out of the way of Steph Kramer's, but helped him out on the start of this lap. It's got to be said. Kramer's up 30 seconds almost exactly in that opening split. Looking real smooth and planted as he heads into the Villeneuve chicane here. Cutting so much of that chicane, which you are allowed to do via race room cut rules. Oh, a little bit of a twitch of the rear end as we come through the complex there. Oh, and the rear end steps out a little bit again through there. And he's actually dropped a little bit of time there. That might have been the car getting a little bit twitchy through the previous complex there. But he's down on his... he's down on the outright best. But he's still in it. He is still in it. If this sector can be hooked up, he needs to get a real clean run through the final chicane, the Jackie X chicane here, and a good exit. Takes plenty of the curb. Rear end steps out a little bit there, but that wasn't too bad. Across the line he goes. He's hugging the inside wall to make the trip as short as possible, and he does do it. He goes a 10th clear from Steph Kramer's. A brilliant final split there. Kramer's will take pole position in this second round of the championship, and what a qualifying session we were watching there. Bravo to all three drivers of Kramer's, Clough and Quintal. Fantastic to watch then. Hopefully that's not more exciting than the races is going to be, but I'm sure I'm sure it's going to be fine. But there we go. They are the results of qualifying here of the Crest Autosport World Touring Car Challenge Round 2 at Zolder. Steph Kramer takes pole position by 1/10 from Michael Clough and Diogo Quintal in third position. Paul Hans fourth, followed by Nikolai Mikov with Fabio Andrade in sixth position. Perkis will take seventh place from Rodrigo Portugal in eighth position. Ollie Hansen will take ninth place. Remo Schneider rounding off the top 10, with Nigel Stock taking 11th place, followed by Alex Ward. Elliot House will take 13th place from Giacomo Paunasa in 14th position, with Carl Smith taking 15th. Alongside him will start Lee Balmer, and we'll get the results back up on the screen. We have to do this via good old-fashioned screenshots. I'm not ashamed to say, because that's just how not great race room can be sometimes. But there we go, we'll carry on from where we were. It was Carl Smith in 15th, and alongside on the 8th row will be Lee Balmer. 17th will go to Liam Hopkins, with Tim Johnson in 18th position, Gabriel Lopez in 19th, and starting 20th with no time set in qualifying will be Ricardo Pessoa Santos. As I mentioned, a real exciting qualifying session we just watched there. Hammer and tongs between the top three drivers. Fantastic to watch. Between Steph Kramer's, Diogo Quintal and Michael Clough. And we can see the drivers out on the track getting a little bit more practice in. Qualifying's one thing that gets you 2 extra points, of course it does, and of course it helps, but the race is the all-important one. We all know that. So a little bit more housekeeping before we resume on with tonight's racing. We've got a little bit of warming up for the drivers to complete before we head into the first race of the night. It's a 20-minute race. But if you're watching, well, everyone here is watching on YouTube, of course they are. Please take a look at the description of this video. There are a lot of links in there, a lot of things to choose from, a lot of goodies in the supermarket, as we would say. But you can get involved in Crest Autosport Race Room Leagues. There's plenty of championships on offer by us. We have got 3 Race Room Leagues. We've got this one, the World Touring Car Challenge, hosted on Thursday nights. We have also got, on Saturdays, in the early afternoon, the GT Cup, featuring GT3 cars in various tracks around the world, and that is hosted fortnightly. We also have on Tuesdays the MX5 Cup. Now if you like just racing slow-ish, real fun, real rear-wheel drive cars, then join the MX5 League. It's a fantastic little season, which resumes next week on Tuesdays. outside of Race Room, we also have on Monday nights. Now, I'm not allowed to say what it actually is, but it is open wheelers on ovals. You kind of know it's a very famous American series that we're not allowed to say the name of anymore, which is infuriating. But we host them on iRacing on Monday nights. Good little series to get involved in, big grids as well, which means it's very exciting oval racing indeed. Excuse me. And we also have a Dirt Rally League. Now, Crest Autosport is originally and primarily a rally league, an organisation hosting Rally League, should I say. But we host that on Dirt Rally. We have the World Sim Rally Championship, one of the most acclaimed Dirt Rally 2 leagues in the world. And we host over 200 drivers to rallies replicating the real-life WRC. So it's all great leagues to get involved with, so please do check it out on our website, crestautosport.com. But you can also look at the Facebook groups we have. We have a group for the Race Room Leagues here called Crest Autosport Race Room Leagues, and we also have the World Sim Rally Championship Facebook group as well. We have a Discord community that you can join to keep an eye on all the announcements, all the racing that's being involved, and you can chat to all the drivers as well. And finally, if you look in the description, there's a lot of links for all of our sponsors and affiliates. To include but a few, there are Apex Tracks, 603 Autosport, Track Racer, 3D Rap, Esports Sim, Digital Motorsports, and the GP Box. That's the housekeeping over and done with. Now, you'll be glad to know we can focus on the racing, not too far away from gridding up for the opening race of the night. And this is round 2 of the championship. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, we've got plenty of rounds remaining in the season. Next week, we're heading off to France for the Paul Ricard circuit. And that's going to be an interesting one. Now, a lot of people don't like Paul Ricard, and I mentioned this earlier. I know it's not people's favourite track, but Paul Ricard, it's the Solution 1A layout, I think we're racing. Is it 1A? Yeah, I believe it is. But big long straight and no stupid first chicane at this track, so it's going to be quite an exciting round. And we finished the championship, the final 3 rounds of Bathurst, Mount Panorama that is, Interlagos, and the Nordschleife, of course. Drivers going to be gearing up, ready for the start of this race. So without further ado, we'll go through the starting grid for this opening race of the night. So lining up on the front row will be Diogo Quintal. Steph Kramer's will line up on the front row. I was looking at the wrong screen then. Steph Kramer's pole position and the 2 bonus points to go with it. Second place will be Michael Clough, followed by Diogo Quintal on the second row, and alongside him will be Paul Hans. Taking up row 3 will be Nikolai Mikov, with Fabio Andrade alongside in 6th position. Jeff Perkis and Rodrigo Portugal will take up row 4. 9th and 10th, the 5th row will be Ollie Janssen and Remo Schneider. Nigel Stock, newcomer tonight, will line up in 11th place with Alex Ward alongside in 12th position. Elliot House taking up 13th and Giamoro Paunasa in 14th position. Carl Smith and Lee Balmer will take up the 8th row, with the 9th row taken up by Liam Hopkins and Tim Johnson. 10th row will be taken up by Gabriel Lopez and the driver who did not set a time, Ricardo Pessoa Santos. And here we go, drivers are lined up. We're about to go, ready for this opening race of the night. Lights are red, we're about to get underway. And away we go. And it's looking like a pretty decent start already for Steph Kramers, and already coming across the guard. His position is Michael Clough in 2nd position. Into turn number 1 we go. And on the outside of Michael there is Diogo Quintal, who gets a pretty good exit, and the inside for the next corner. And this is allowing Steph Kramers to already break away a little bit as these two squabble for position. And Diogo Quintal holds the inside for the following few corners as well. So it's a pretty good start to this race for the Portuguese driver, and he is dropping back a little bit from Steph Kramers, but it is 2nd place found and done for him at the moment. Nikolai Mikov had a good start as well. He's moved himself up to 4th position past Paul Hans. Into the chicane we're going to go. This is going to be very precarious. There's a lot of drivers making moves in the back. There was Remo Schneider looking at Alex Ward. Did not find a way alongside, did not find a way through, but On we go, and I think it's been quite clean so far through the chicane, and onwards we go. This is Michael Clough all over the rear of Diogo Quintal, and they are dropping back already from Steph Kramer's a second behind already. Not quite the good start that they wanted. They're going to have to knuckle down. They're going to have to figure out whether they want to fight for the win or whether they're going to squabble for their championship, as we see Paul Hans make a move on Mikov, who allows room on the inside for Paul Hans, but it looked like a pretty good move from Paul. He put his nose to the inside and he's able to sneak it through, and now Jeff Perkis is looking to get by Nikolai Mikov on the outside as we head into the chicane. Mikov is later on the brakes, but he has the better position into the corner as well. He'll be able to keep it in that position. A slowdown penalty, not too much to worry about for Paul Hans, but at the end of the first lap, it is Steph Kramers who leads away from the pack. And a second clear of Quintal. Now he'll want to get his head down and focus on catching. He's already left a gap to Michael Clough. Clough might be struggling with cold tyres on that BMW. I do know that it struggles a little bit more on the colder tyres than other cars do. And the Opel is actually better on the colder tyres than most of the other cars are. Oh, as we see a big battle here for fourth place at the moment. Mikov is back into fourth place, and he moves his way ahead of Perkis and Paul Hans. Hans drops it back to sixth position, and Mikov has made back the 2 places he lost only half a lap ago. So good stuff from Mikov. He did have a good showing last time out at Donington Park in the second race. Led a lot of the race, and you could see him skipping across the chicane there. Real good through that chicane compared to the 2 drivers in the Tic Tac liveries behind. Oh, I think Lopez has taken a spin here, and we've already got a DNF. Liam Hopkins, oh, and that might be a ping issue for Liam Hopkins. He's out of the server, and that'll be game over for Liam Hopkins. If he's out of the server, he won't be able to get back in. That's real unfortunate for him. Drivers who've progressed so far, Alex Ward and Elliot House. 2 places gained for each of those drivers, as they're in 10th and 11th. Now this will be the battle for reverse grid honours. Of course it will. 10th position is pole position for race 2. So Alex Ward holds that at the moment, and he'd be pretty pleased to hold that. Ricardo Pessoa Santos, quite a few places gained already, from 20th to 16th. Good start for him. Meanwhile, towards the front, Kramers leads still by just shy of a second from Quintal, who is not quite leaving behind Michael Clough just yet. Oh, as we see Kramers get a little bit out of shape there going through turn number 2. Not to worry too much though, it's if he spins is what he needs to worry about, and in these cars, it's pretty likely for any of these drivers. They are extremely difficult cars to handle, and with the advancements of Raceroom's physics over the years, it does become very, very difficult to drive these cars, especially as the tyres get hotter and hotter and more aged. Tim Johnson is another driver who's gained quite a few positions. He's gone up from, I think it was 18th position to 14th at the moment. He's found himself catching up by the looks of it with Remo Schneider and holding off Paunesser and Pessoa Santos. So we see how he gets on in the latter parts of this race. Near 5 minutes expired, and we can see Michael Clough gaining back on his current championship rival, Diogo Quintal. Into the hairpin we go. He's right up close to the rear of the Opel Omega. You can see him. He can almost grab onto the wing of that car ahead. Not quite so much now as he's pulled away on the straight here. But this is the dilemma now for Clough. He needs to think whether he can catch Kramers sitting behind Quintal, and by that Quintal catching Kramers, or if he needs to get in front to try and catch Kramers. All the dilemmas that drivers go through, and it looked like quite a good latter part of the lap for Quintal there as he broke away a little bit from Clough, but he's dropping back ever so slightly, just a few tenths from Kramers in that last lap. We'll move back to these drivers very, very shortly. We've got Ollie Jansen here. Got a few cars around him. Fabio Andrade, he's dropped a few places behind him. But Rodrigo Portugal, now we said Rodrigo was very quiet last week. Not really involved in a lot of the action last week. But here in 7th place, you'll be pleased with that. That's for certain. Clough getting close to Quintal again. It seems that he might be a little bit quicker than Quintal on this section of the track. The sort of middle third of the track. Quintal equally is catching up with Kramer's. And if we can see a big battle between these three drivers all through the night, I'll be a very happy host indeed. And we got a side-by-side between, that was Nigel Stock and Remo Schneider. Schneider's found his way through, and now Stock is in trouble, guarding off from Tim Johnson, and into the chicane. Johnson finishes it off. He cuts through the corner right in front of Nigel Stock, who drops 2 places from just a few corners ago, and that leaves him in 14th position. He's got to fight it all back. Andrade right behind Ollie Hansen here. It seems to be Mustang City at the moment, as he's got Alex Ward behind him and Ollie Hansen just up ahead of him. Ollie Hansen in the black Mustang, and then the grey-silver Mustang behind the Opel there is Alex Ward. Remember, 10th position is reverse grid pole honours, and that at the moment is between Alex Ward and Elliot House. One of these drivers, if they get involved in a big battle, one of these drivers is going to lose out on the reverse grid contention. Back at the front, it's getting a bit closer between these three drivers. Quintal only half a second behind Kramer's, and less than half a second behind Quintal is Michael Clough. And back there, there is a back marker in the name of Carl Smith, that is. I think he may have been in the pits. He may have had repairs. There is a bit of damage on that bonnet of his. So we see these drivers go through the butte and into the Villeneuve chicane. Clough seems confident right now. I can just tell by the way he's pulling that car through the chicanes. He feels confident in his pace compared to the drivers ahead. And I think he is trying to find his moment, trying to find the time to make the right move at the right time. And I think we just saw Santos make a move on Tim Johnson. Tim Johnson seems to be struggling a little bit here as the Stock is passing him as well. So all the work he'd done so far did Tim Johnson. It's falling away from him a little bit here as Paulus is now moving his way past. He's really struggling at the moment. Not sure what happened to him. Again, we've got no replays with Race Room, annoyingly. But yeah, something's happened to him to drop him back to 16th place. Clough's getting close to Quintal. I think something's happened to Elliot House. He might have taken a spin in the hairpin. He's dropping places. He's dropped from 11th to 14th here. And that's really going to put him out of contention for reverse grid pole. And we're going to refocus our attention to the top spots here, the top 3 spots. This is 1, 2, and 3. And look how close they are to each other as they head round the corner. Not a great camera angle there, but they're so close to one another. Helicam here, this gives an idea of how close they are. Quintal thinking about a move. Let's get that roof out of the way. Watching closely, it's not quite the place to make an overtake, is that chicane. You need to be well and truly alongside someone to make a move there. 11 minutes remaining in this race. Quite a long time. Quite a long time for these drivers to make their moves. Game of chess that is motorsport at times. Not much. Barely a car's width between each of these drivers. As Zolder is a difficult track to overtake on. This is one of the main opportunities to overtake is into this hairpin, as well as turn number 1. But it is a very difficult track to overtake on. Back marker up ahead of these drivers. Hopefully will not disrupt things too much. That's Gabriel Lopez in the number 3 Mercedes. Oh, it's Quintal. Took a bit too much curb there. Got it really sideways. But was able to correct it with some very quick steering action there to get it back into a straight line. These drivers are well and truly clear of the rest of the pack. They're near 10 seconds clear of Paul Hans. They're just a step above the rest at the moment are these 3 drivers. Oh, as we've seen, Mikov is losing a position there to Jeff Perkis. Perkis moves ahead and into 5th place. As we're going to switch back through into 2nd place goes Michael Clough. And I think through... Oh, something's happened there to Clough, and he's going to slow down. Has he slowed down? I'm not entirely sure what's going on there. It's quite deceptive on our camera angle, but Kramer's stretched away, and there might have been something to do with trying to overtake the back marker there of Lopez, and it's split up these drivers quite a bit. And cutting the chicane there is Michael Clough, and there's quite a big slowdown penalty you get from cutting the chicane there. You'll have to back off a lot there. And that has really disrupted this battle a little bit. They are now a total of 2 seconds apart. They're going to have to work hard again to catch that back off. But as I... get back up, excuse me. As I mentioned, O'Clough seems quite confident. Will he be able to reel back in Kramers? Perkis resumes his battle with Mikov. Mikov found his way back past Perkis while we were watching the top 3 there. Quite a big battle between these. Perkis looking for the move there. And back here we've also got Andrade. That is actually a back marker of Carl Smith letting through the drivers there. Oh, as Alex Ward got a little bit close for comfort there. Alex Ward sitting in a good position here. He's got all drivers ahead of him and within reach. And he's currently holding pole position in the next race, which means that he's got a good opportunity to score some big points ahead of these guys in the next race. Oh, as Clough's gone off the track there. We've done quite a good job of missing a few of these things so far. So I do apologise, ladies and gentlemen. We will try and capture them. But Michael Clough running a bit wide there. I presume he pushed a little bit too hard and might have lost the rear a little bit heading into turn 1. And that's dropped him back quite a bit. Near 5 seconds down now from Steph Kramers. And it's really going to put things into a little bit of a bleak overlook of this potential for Clough to win this race here. But we'll see what can happen. We'll see what can happen. Kramers is doing everything right at the moment. He's just keeping cool, not making any mistakes. And he's well in control of this race right now. 3 seconds clear. Perkis gaining on Mikov. Closest battle on track at the moment are these two. And they have got drivers behind, easing in towards them as they battle away. Rodrigo Portugal is the next driver along. 1.3 seconds down. And the biggest gainer of the field so far, 8 places gained, Ricardo Pessoa Santos. He's gone from 20th to 12th in this race. So good job to him, and he's getting closer, I think, to Ramos Schneider. So we'll see what he can do. And he's 8 seconds down from 10th, so he won't be able to get himself a reverse grid pole. That's one thing we can probably predict at this point, rather unfortunately for him, because he looks pretty good pace-wise. Andrade following Rodrigo Portugal. Portugal named after the country he resides from, of course. In the FINA First livery. Johnny Gicotto's livery, I believe. Johnny Gicotto, I remember him from the BMW days in BTCC in the 90s. Around the corner now goes Portugal. No home track for him this season, unfortunately. We got a lot of Portuguese drivers, but no Portuguese track on the calendar. It's something we might have to sort out for another time. Oh, as we got a driver pulling over to the side. I think that is Lopez pulling over there. Oh, as Portugal gets held up a little bit there going into the chicane, and it's going to lose him a little bit of a gap from Jeff Perkis up ahead. And he's got to be really careful not to lose out to Andrade here into the Villeneuve chicane. Takes to the outside. He's going to go around the outside. Oh, and he does really well to actually get that through. He had to get his elbows out a little bit, and he does really well and finds himself through, and dropped a bit of time from Jeff Perkis, but he still keeps himself in 7th position. Andrade is real close though. Oh, and he's going to make the switch back to the inside. Oh, and he overshoots it. It was looking pretty good, and onto the gravel he goes. He's going to lose some positions here, is Andrade. He might drop down to 10th here as Alex Ward finding his way through. Oh, and the do come together. Ward's into the wall. The two did come together, and Ward has a puncture. Yes, he does. He's going to have to bring it into the pits to change the tyre there. Oh, that's such rotten luck. It's the rear left you can see is deflated there. And that is it for Alex Ward. And as if last week did not go well for him, as he could not attend the second race last week. This week has not gone much better for him. It was a little bit difficult to see what happened between the two, but it looked like the two paths crossed on the track. With Andrade recovering, coming back onto the track. It's a bit hard to speculate, it's a bit hard to tell what actually happened, but what this does, it puts Ramos Schneider into 10th and into reverse grid pole contention. So he'll be happy about that. Ward will not be happy about that, of course. And Schneider will have to work hard to keep hold of this. You've got Elliott House not too far behind. And we saw Elliott House put in a real good shift in race 1 last week. Let's see if he can gain on Remo Schneider for the remainder of this race. So we've got Palliser off here, and he's retired. I'm not sure what happened to him, but he's put it into the pits to retire from this race. That's 2 retirements in this race so far, and we've had 3 other drivers in trouble in Smith, Lopez and Ward. This is Perkis looking to the inside of Mikov. And Rodrigo Portugal behind. I think he generally is lapping quicker than these drivers ahead, but once he gets close, it seems to drop off a little bit. But he's got 3 minutes to do something. At the front though, Steph Kramer's on his debut. Yeah, I can see Alex Ward in the comments there. Suspension damage, not a puncture, do excuse me. But yeah, had to cut the curb. I did see that. He did have to really jump on the curb. Yeah, real unfortunate. It might be one for the stewards to look at after the racing, of course. But yeah, that's real rotten luck for Alex Ward. Perkis, a little bit cleaner coming out of the chicane there. Can't quite make the move on Nikolai Mikov just yet. Now, oh, there we go. Mikov really struggling through the corner there. And now he's going to drop the place to Jeff Perkis. And now I was literally just about to say that drivers will be struggling on their tyres at this point. The tyres really wearing off. And in the second race, they get even worse. And oh, yeah, Mikov's just gone off the track there. You think he's got suspension damage now as well? He has. And we've seen a position swap between Ollie Jansen and Rodrigo Portugal. Mikov's going to carry on. Yeah, he's definitely got damage. Look at it, crabbing. That's suspension damage. It's going to be really similar to what happened to Alex Ward. He might have cut the curb a little bit too much. Now, he might be able to carry this on. He might be able to keep it in a good position. But we've also got Elliott House here trying for 10th place. Round the outside of Remo Schneider into turn 1. And the inside now for turn 2. Elliott House takes 10th place in this race. And that is reverse grid pole. And this will be the penultimate lap for these drivers. 3 places gained in this race for Elliott House. But we've also got Ricardo Pessoa Santos, who's moved up 8 places in this race. Might be able to gain a few two more to 10th to take reverse grid pole. Can he do it? It'll be impressive if he can. He's right up on the rear of Remo Schneider, who's dropping back a little bit from Elliott House. Santos will want to dispose of Schneider pretty quickly. A good exit from the chicane here is what he needs. Can he make a move going into the Villeneuve chicane? He's going to take to the left side. Can he switch over to the right? No, he can't. Schneider has it covered rather well. But a good exit from here is what he needs. Elliott House is disappearing. He's already more than a second clear. It's slipping away from Santos here, and House is holding well and truly on to 10th place. At the front, Kramers starts his final lap, leading convincingly by 3 seconds from Quintal and Gloff in 3rd position. Remo Schneider has dropped behind Santos. We did miss that. It looked like a move from Santos into the hairpin. Now Santos has got 1 lap to catch and pass Elliott House. Can he do it? Can he do it? We will find out. Andrade making a move on Mikov, who is slowing due to that crabbing car there. Can he make it to the end in the top 10? He might end up dropping more positions, you know. These drivers are going to be coming after him. Santos is quite some way behind Elliott House, so it's looking rather bleak for Santos right now, despite all the brilliant work he's done, gaining 9 places in this race. House could well take reverse grid pole for the moment. Michael Clough is gaining again on Quintal. It might not be enough, though. He might have just fallen short here. Bit of a strange race. Oh, as Schneider and Santos swap places again. Santos has gone wide at turn 4, presumably there. But we must switch to our leader as he's about to come around the final corner. He does come around the final corner. This will be a race win for Stef Kramers on his debut to the season. He takes the win in race 1 here. Diogo Quintal, leader of the championship coming into tonight, and will still lead the championship coming out of this race here. Takes 2nd place with Michael Clough in 3rd position, rounding off the podium. Paul Hans is going to come through into 4th position here. Across the line he goes, and we're going to switch to Elliot House, as he might be able to move himself up to 9th place here. He does. Mikov's going to drop to 10th here, but he might have enough space between him and Remo Schneider back there to keep 10th place, and we'll have race 2, pole position. Round the final corner we go, and he will. He'll get it across the line. Another lap, and he would have been in trouble there, but he's made it. Santos loses 11th place, but 8 places gained for the biggest gainer in the field in this race. Bravo to him indeed. And we'll have 17 finishers in this race. But your winner was Stef Kramers in the Mercedes. The number 12 Mercedes takes the win in this race. Whew, that was a bit of a that was quite a dramatic race there. A lot of drama going on in the form of suspension damages, a lot of big battles, especially in the top 3. But this man takes the win for this opening race of the night. And this man here, Diogo Quintal, he continues his lead in the championship. He was 14 points in the lead of the championship. Now it will be something like 24. In fact, it will be 22 by my maths. Kramers takes the win in this race from Diogo Quintal in 2nd place. Fastest lap bonus points goes to Michael Clough, but he finishes 3rd in this race. Paul Hans will take 4th position from Jeff Perkis in 5th position, and Ollie Janssen in 6th position. Rodrigo Portugal takes 7th in his best result of the season so far, with Fabio Andrade in 8th position. Elliot House gains a few positions to take 9th position, and reverse grid pole, only just, for Nikolai Mikov, who did have a pretty good race until the final few moments. So we're in warm-up now. And normally it kicks us out of the server when we head into a warm-up session, but it hasn't this time, which is good. I'm glad Raceroom have fixed that. But we've got one more race to go tonight, and it's a 30-minute race. But before then, we are going to go for a quick break. But when we come back, it'll be race 2, gearing up for race 2. Don't go away, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Zolder Circuit for round 2 of the World Touring Car Challenge presented by Crest Autosport. This is round 2 of the championship. Round 1 has been and gone last week at Donington Park GP, and we're now halfway through round 2 right here today. We've had race 1 and we're heading into race 2 in the next 2 to 3 minutes. Next week we'll be heading off to Paul Ricard in the south of France for the 3rd round of the championship. We'll have a week off after that, and when we come back it will be Bathurst Mount Panorama on the 9th of March for the 4th round of the championship. Round 5 of the championship will be hosted at Interlagos in Brazil. Not traditionally a DTM / World Touring Car track, but a good track nonetheless. We all loved Interlagos. That'll be hosted on the 6th of March, being the 5th round of the championship. And then the final round of the championship, of course, it's going to be hosted at the Nordschleife on the 23rd of March. If you wish to get involved in this series, you can still. There are plenty of spaces available. Go sign up at crestautosport.com if you have Race Room, if you like Race Room, and if you have DTM 92s and you like the DTM 92s, it's definitely the series to get involved with. Or if you just like watching these races, continue watching us here on Crest Autosport TV on YouTube. Please do give us a like, please do give us a subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can stay on top and in touch with all the content we've got coming on this channel by Crest Autosport. It is very much appreciated indeed. Right, just before we head into the next race, we'll go through the results of the previous race very shortly, but Stephen de Grevelia, one of my drivers, asks, why so many sparks on the Ford? I don't actually know. I noticed it in the last round, and I thought, well, it's quite a lot, but I assume it's due to the freakishly low ride height on the Ford Mustang. It's basically a bobsled going through these corners by the looks of it, but yeah, quite a lot of sparks. JP DJ asks how to get on it, and I'm assuming you mean by the league. Well, you need to join Crest Autosport Race Room League's Facebook group on Facebook, of course, but also check out the sign-up form at crestautosport.com. All the relevant links you need are in the description of this live stream / video for you to get involved in whatever series you want, hosted by us. So as we head into the next session of the night, we'll go through the grid, which of course is formed by the results of the previous race hosted tonight. And remember, it is the top 10 reversed from the race 1 results. So Nikolai Mikov will start on pole position for this race, with Elliot House starting in 2nd position. Fabio Andrade will start in 3rd position, followed by Rodrigo Portugal starting 4th. 5th will start Ollie Jansen, with Jeff Perkis starting in 6th position, with Paul Hans in 7th and Michael Clough in 8th. On the 8th row. On the 5th row will be Diogo Quintal and Steph Kramers. Steph Kramers, who won the first race of the night. Line up 11th will be Remo Schneider, and alongside him, Ricardo Pessoa Santos. Nigel Stock and Tim Johnson will line up on the 7th row, with 15th going to Lee Balmer and 16th to Gabriel Lopez. Carl Smith will take up 17th with Alex Ward in 18th. Giomoro Paunasa will take up 19th, and Liam Hopkins will not take part in the second race due to his disconnection. But we are lined up on the grid. We're about to go for this next race of the night. It is the Bulgarian of Mikov on the front row in the 1st position, and away we go. It is a good start by the looks of it from Mikov as he blasts away towards turn number 1. And look at all those cars squabbling there. Elliot House takes defensive to the first corner, but allows Rodrigo Portugal on the outside. But he gets a little bit out of shape as he comes out of turn 1. Elliot House is able to guard off into corner number 2. Round we go, and many movers yet. I don't think there are. I think Quintal has dropped a place to Kramers so far. Jeff Perkis on the outside of a few drivers there, one of them being Ollie Jansen. And here we go. Oh, we look above. That is Clough off on the inside there, and Diego Quintal can't quite make it through either. We got Remo Schneider trying to find their way around the outside as well. Heading into the chicane, it looks to be 3 wide, no longer 3 wide as Quintal tucks back in behind, but Clough is being hit from the rear, and he nearly went off the track there, but he's able to keep it going. Nigel Stock, who had a good start, was running slow coming off the chicane there, now drops down a few places. It's quite a scruffy start for a lot of these drivers here. Oh, it's Stock and Schneider side by side through the Villeneuve chicane there, but Stock's not able to gain the position just quite yet. Kramers has moved up a few places already, up to 6th place for him. And quite a good start for him. He's got the main battalions he's going up against today out of the way in the form of Quintal and Michael Clough. Clough is through and alongside Jeff Perkis here as we head towards the chicane. Actually, he's still under threat from Jeff Perkis into the chicane. No, he outbreaks him and he stays in front. Into 8th place he goes. Leader of the race at the moment, Nikolai Mikov. He did this last week. He started on pole last week at Donington Park and he led a couple of laps there, and he's doing so right here, right now. Elliot House in 2nd position. He's got to try and get his head down to catch up with Nikolai up ahead there. Alex Ward, who had rotten luck in the first race, has moved up a few places, takes to the inside of Gabriel Lopez into turn 2. Got to power it out of the exit here. Again, that bobsled of the Mustang leaving lots of sparks behind as it's freakishly low ride height. Apparently is touching the floor all the time. And he's through. And up ahead here, Elliot House loses the position to Fabio Andrade. Andrade, who had a little bit of drama in his collision with Alex Ward earlier on in race 1. And back here, we've got Kramers to the inside of Paul Hans, forcing his way to the inside. Oh, and Rodrigo Portugal is collected by Paul Hans. And they both filter through somehow, and Rodrigo Portugal will wonder what happened there. And Clough is trying to get through as well, but Paul Hans and Steph Kramers rather scruffily get through and past Rodrigo Portugal, as now Clough is taken to the inside of Rodrigo Portugal, and back there Quintal is making a move on Ollie Hansen, and through they go. Lots of moves on this race being made so far. Clough's not giving up though. He dropped back a lot from Kramers at the start of the race, but he's caught up quite a bit here. It's actually been quite a good comeback in the last lap. As we head through the chicane, Mikov still leads from the front. 2 seconds clear from Portuguese driver Fabio Andrade. As we see Quintal here alongside Portugal heading out of the Jackie X chicane. Rodrigo Portugal, who I haven't seen at the front of the grid much in the series we have run in the last few seasons. Welcome to the front, Rodrigo. That's all I can say. It gets a bit brutal at times. He's got Ollie Hansen for company here. And he holds off at the moment. Clough is right close to Steph Kramers. We saw in race 1, he was able to get closer to Kramers, and he wasn't able to make a move and get past. He's got a great opportunity here, as drivers running a bit slow coming off of turn 4 just up ahead. That's Elliot House and Paul Hans. But Clough does not make the move just yet. We've also got Jeff Perkis alongside Remo Schneider here, but he has stayed ahead of him at the moment. Clough to the outside. Can he make a move on Kramers going into the Villeneuve chicane? He's going to tuck back in, but we've also got Paul Hans here making the move on Elliot House, and through he goes into 3rd position. Hans knows he's going to have Kramers, Clough and Quintal, we could say, as some of his championship rivals up against him, and we've got Clough to the inside of Kramers, and there's contact between the two. They were fighting for the same piece of tarmac, and Clough managed to keep hold of it. Quintal to the outside of Kramers, who goes for a silly move to the inside. Either that or his brakes didn't work, and he's off the track, and he's going to lose a lot of momentum and track position here. Back on track in 11th place. Big trouble for him, and he's going to drop behind Nigel Stock potentially as well. But that is a big downfall for Kramers, as we see Perkis going through with Remo Schneider there. And now Remo Schneider's dropped off, and he's going to be in trouble from Nigel Stock and Kramers here. Stock's to the inside. Kramers trying the undercut here. Stock is going to take to the inside of turn 2 here. Definitely the better line to have, and they are touching side by side. Stock is holding his line very well here. Stock's got a newfound something newfound right here. His pace has rocketed up compared to the previous race. Kramer's to the inside. Oh, and there was not enough room there by the looks of it. Kramer spins round. It's not happening for him right now, and he has pulled it to the pits. He's decided to call it a day. Well, I'm not entirely sure what's going on there, but going for a few moves and it hasn't worked quite out for Kramer's there, and he aborts the race. Don't particularly like seeing that, but hey-ho, hey-ho. Conversation for another day. Clough makes the move on Elliott House, but Elliott House gets it straight back as Clough overshot it, had to cut the chicane a little bit, and he was nearly in trouble from Quintal there, but keeps hold of the position for the time being. Now we can see what Clough can really do in these race 2 reverse grid situations, as last week it just wasn't quite working out for him. Kind of what happened to Kramer's was happening to Clough here. He just was getting involved in instants here and there that just did not work out. But we'll see what he can do here. We'll see what he can do in this race. He's got Quintal right on the back of him, and I think it's going to be the case for the remainder of this race for 23 to 24 minutes here. Heading out of the final corner here. Mikov still leads, but only by 1.5 seconds from Andrade. Andrade is catching him, and to the inside goes Clough. He's got a better run out of the Jackie H chicane, and House just lets him through. House thinks, you know what, this isn't my battle. I'm going to let them through. Or will he? Because he's looking at Quintal here. No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. He lets them be. These two continue their battle to rage on. And now they got to focus on Paul Hans, who has stretched a 2.5 second gap to them in 3rd place here. Paul Hans, the man who seems to love finishing 3rd place in this series. He's done it twice already this season. He only got 4th in the previous race, but that's nearly 3rd, isn't it? He's progressing towards Nikolai Mikov and Fabio Andrade here. Andrade, who's within 2 seconds of Mikov, dropped back a little bit in the last half a lap or so. Towards the back, let's have a look at other, well, the mid-pack, should we say. This is Perkis trying to get past Ollie Jansen. Something I've noticed about Jeff Perkis this season, he's just struggling to make a few moves on drives at the moment. He catches up with the drivers, and then nothing happens after that. It's like a confidence in the car when overtaking. They are very difficult cars to overtake because of their low amount of grip at the best of times. And the guarding from Schneider was also trying to attack Ole Jansen. Raymond Schneider all over the rear of Perkis here. The tic-tac livery up ahead is Jeff Perkis. No move made just yet. It's not quite the place to make a move unless you are well and truly alongside someone. I think I saw someone head into the pits there. Oh no, it wasn't. It was Alex Ward heading off the track there. And he's going to have to pull over to serve a slowdown, but he'll get rid of that and he'll be able to progress on with his race in 12th place here, having started from the back. Good progress from Alex Ward here. But Diego Quintal, he's going to have that BMW in his sights, whether that's in front of him, whether that's in his rear view mirror, for much of the race here. You can just tell. Through the chicane. And Clough just seems real smooth through that chicane there. It's almost like a straight line skip across the curb into the Villeneuve chicane. And all the drivers in sight here. And this is Paul Hans chasing down Fabio Andrade. And he is also catching up with Nikolai Mikov. It's nearly down to a second. There's about a second between all of these drivers, or just shy of a second between all of these drivers in the top 5. Oh, as Mikov gets a little bit out of shape there. And that is going to invite Andrade towards him to prepare a move. Mikov, who led quite a few laps of the previous second race that was at Donington Park last week. We're just going to switch back over as Ollie Jansen there, making a move on Rodrigo Portugal. And into 7th place goes the Mustang. And Rodrigo Portugal will have to fight back. This is one place lower from where he finished in the previous race, so Rodrigo will definitely want better than that as he takes to the inside going into turn 4. That was a very daring move going into that corner. Oh, there's a little bit of a side contact between Rodrigo and Ole Janssen. Janssen's not quite given up yet, though. He's actually got his nose ahead heading into the chicane, and he'll keep the position. Portugal will need a good exit from this corner there, and oh, I thought he had it, but a little nudge of the rear of Ole Janssen has helped him stretch away from Portugal as we head towards the Villeneuve chicane now. No move just yet, and we got Schneider right behind Rodrigo. Portugal heading through these stretch of corners here, and up ahead is also Elliott House to look out for. We're going to keep an eye on the front here as Paul Hans made a move on Fabio Andrade, didn't work, but heading out of the hairpin, Paul Hans is able to complete the move, and now Michael Clough is making his move. He's got his nose ahead of Fabio Andrade as we head into the Jackie Ickx chicane, and through he goes. Andrade drops 2 places in the space of trying to move up 1. Oh, and a bad exit there for Andrade. But he might be letting by his teammate here. Not quite yet. Not quite yet. His teammate who's dropped back a little bit from Clough. His championship rival, and there we go. The move is made. He lets through his teammate. Both of the team name, that is Emotion Virtual Spirit, working together. Quintal is through and into the top 4, and now got to try and catch up with Clough again, who might be held up a little bit here by Paul Hans. This will probably be one of the trickier passes for Clough of this race. Paul Hans very quick in these cars by the seam of it. And Mikov untouched so far in this race. Oh! Clough goes straight off of the chicane there. What on earth happened there? Might have hit the curb too hard and it just spat him off into the tyres, and that's really going to lower his chances of a win here. And Quintal is off in the distance there. No visible damage on the car, but it just seemed he hit the curb and then went straight. It's like the wheels fell off the car. It's really weird. But that's really undone a lot of work there when it was looking like he was going to move into 2nd place in the seconds following that instant we saw. That gives Mikov a little bit more time at the front here. Paul Hans, what can he do? Can he catch up with Mikov in time? And hope that will slow down Quintal. Starting another lap here. We're nearing the halfway point in this race. Still a lot of time to go. Still a lot of time. And in that time, can Clough catch back up? The 6 seconds he's lost to Quintal now with going off at the chicane. There was a couple of drives. Oh, 2 drivers spun in the chicane there. That's Tim Johnson and Remo Schneider. Might have come together. And Tim Johnson was doing well. He was up into 11th place, I think. Oh, and Alex Ward's in the pits. Something's happened to him. Now, Alex Ward had gained quite a lot of positions in this race as well, and he's in the pits. He might have more damage. That boy needs some luck. Really does need some luck in this championship. Quintal close to Paul Hans here, not making the move just yet. And Hans eases up towards Nikolai Mikov. Hans has done brilliant in this championship so far, holding on to 3rd in the championship. I've seen Hans progress from quite a lot of championships hosted by us and nearly winning the Category 2 championship in one of the previous World Touring Car Championship seasons. Might have been the last one. House close to Portugal here, and I think he's dropped behind Portugal as Portugal progresses to 7th and Janssen to 6th. The House will hold on to another top 10 place here by the look of it. Back to the top 3. That's definitely the wrong graphic. Yeah, this is the dilemma now for Paul Hans. He's got to hang on in front of Quintal, but he's trying to catch Mikov, who seems to be doing really well at this part of the track. Stretches away by a few tenths. This is the view of Quintal. Is he going to go for the move? No, not quite yet. It is not the place to make the move. But wow, that BMW can go really well through that chicane. And the Opel just can't quite as well. Mikov defends. And Hans can't quite pick his move just yet. Oh, his Hans cut the corner a little bit too much there, and it upset the car just a bit. Oh, and the tyres might be getting a little bit tricky on Paul Hans' tic-tac BMW there. Into the hairpin. Easing on the throttle coming out of the corner. And this is the point in the race where it will start to get tricky on the tyres. And they've got to get the tyres through another 13 laps. You can just see him really feathering the throttle, and a big exit there from Diogo Quintal. He's going to take to the inside going into turn 1. Can he make it? He's going to take to the inside line. Paul Hans will have to power it around the outside. Can he? Yes, he can. He's going to keep it there, and he might be able to hang on. Oh, as Quintal gets all out of shape there, and he's not able to maintain the attempted overtake, and will drop back behind and into 3rd place. Oh, is he the undercut there in turn 2 as Paul Hans gets out of shape? He'll have the inside for turn number 4 here, and that might well get the move done. It does indeed. Quintal's ahead. There's the view of Paul Hans behind, who's not fighting back just yet. Into the chicane. They've dropped to more than a second behind Mikov here, as Portugal and House continue to battle. This is for 7th place. Portugal's dropped back behind House. Through the chicane we go. Portugal very neat and tidy through that corner, it's got to be said. Oh, does not quite make the move into the chicane. Oh, a little bit of a rub at the rear end of Elliot House, but not enough to upset his line, not enough to push him off the track. Quintal has not messed around here. He's back on the pounce towards the top spot. Quintal won race number 2 last time out at Donington Park, and he looks to be doing very, very similar right here as he gets a good exit from the chicane. Much better exit than Mikov. He's got the better line, and Mikov has to tuck back in behind. You know what? He kept the lead for 18 minutes at this race. Well done to Mikov. Really, really good. But the race isn't over. He's got to keep those positions. He might well be able to finish it in the top 3 here. But Quintal takes the lead. From 9th on the grid again. And he's finishing ahead of his championship rival at the moment. He's the man to beat in this championship with 2 rounds down. Into the chicane. Paul Hans hasn't been able to get past Mikov yet. Now he hasn't got to worry so much about the cars behind. Can he do that now? And now Andrade's out of the race, I've just noticed. He was in 4th position, so I'm not sure what's happened to him there. That's another DNF for him, though. Real big shame, as he was doing rather well tonight. Into the hairpin we go. A couple of drivers having some real dramas tonight, which is a shame to see. Alex Ward's not had the luck he deserves. Neither has Andrade, but looks of it. Paulus has struggled tonight as well. A lot going on. Oh, contact there from Paul Hans. Gets Mikov out of shape. And through he goes. It's not the most legitimate of overtakes I've seen. But Paul Hans is going to sneak through there. As Mikov can challenge on the outside, which he doesn't. Mikov looking to try and get back up the inside, but he's way too far back to go for it. But Paul Hans goes a little bit wide there going into turn 2. He's into 2nd place, goes Paul Hans. And I think what Hans will be thinking about now is where Clough is going to be in retrospect to him. Clough is going to be charging towards trying to get that 3rd place spot. First might be a stretch for Clough right here, right now. But, oh, come back to that shortly. Santos has taken a spin here. And he'll drop out of the top 10 by the looks of it. Cruising away very slowly as Santos has had the pace tonight. It's just not quite hooked up for him. He is in the hardest, I would say, is the hardest car to handle in the grid. That Mercedes is a handful on the rear end. And as I mentioned, it's one of those cars that if you can get it right, it's the fastest car of the field, in my opinion. But Santos drops to 13th place. He's got to work it back to get it into 11th place past Smith and Balmer. We're now looking at Rodrigo Portugal, who's still battling with Elliott House and might be inviting in the likes of Nigel Stock behind. Nigel Stock, who's found something. Definitely had some cereal in between races 1 and 2 as this really boosted him up. Portugal trying to put off Elliott House, who took a very wide entrance into the final 2 corners there. But it seemed to work. He got a good exit. That's the thing. When your tyres start to go off, you've got to change your lines a little bit. You've got to change almost the slowness and the smoothness of your steering input into the corners to keep the car in a straight line almost. Even though you're going through corners, it's really, really strange and really difficult. And with 8 minutes to go, you can really see the rear end struggling on these cars, and Rodrigo Portugal hanging on for grim death to keep hold of that car, and he invites in his teammate. Oh, don't crash into each other, guys, please. They're both Crest Autosport drivers. Oh, Nigel Stock to the outside of Rodrigo Portugal here. He's got to be careful. He was putting Nigel Stock onto the grass there. Got to be really careful with drivers alongside you like that. Jeff Purkis, well, I thought that was Jeff Purkis behind. I thought he was going to be rubbing his hands at this up ahead. And there is another driver involved. Oh, that is Elliott House. Oh, Elliott House dropping behind. I don't know how we've missed it again. Sorry, guys. I'm doing terrible tonight. He's dropped back behind Portugal and Stock. Stock's moved up 6 places in this race. He's done a brilliant job tonight. Other big movers are Alex Ward. He's moved up to 14th. Carl Smith's done brilliant in this race, up to 11th. Brilliant job from him. But the biggest mover of the field so far is this man, Diogo Quintel. He did it in race 2 last week, and he's done it here. But he's not quite leaving Paul Hans behind just yet. Still a second between them. And Mikov is now being welcomed by Clough, who's going to be looking to get onto that podium spot. Let's keep an eye on this, see how long it will take, if he can, get into that 3rd spot. A good exit here. Maybe not the best place to make the move. I think Clough's realised that, but he's just keeping his options alive here by kind of taking a look. But a good exit here. No, it wasn't. It actually wasn't. The curb did not serve him well. It spat him out wide into the gravel, and he's dropped back to nearly a second behind. Oh, as we look back here, Portugal went wide there. He's dropped back a bit of time, and he's dropped back behind Nigel Stock and Elliott House. Now, I think Nigel Stock now becomes the biggest mover of the field with moving into 6th place there. Brilliant race. Brilliant second race here for the Crest Autosport driver, if I'm being a little bit biased. But these guys locked in a battle with Elliott House. Elliott House, who continues to entertain in this championship. I do like watching Elliott House in these DTMs. He really does rag the bit out of them, speaking politely. Into the hairpin we go. Clough still looking for a move on Nikolai Mikov up ahead. Nigel Stock 7 places gained, not quite the biggest mover of the field yet. Clough still waiting for that move on Mikov. Oh, as he takes to the outside going into turn 2, this could well be the move. Oh, it's very risky, very precarious, and he does make it round the outside. Brilliant move. And something's happened to Portugal here. He's dropped behind Jeff Perkins and a long way off Elliott House. This might be a puncture. It might have been a spin, I'm not entirely sure. But he's really struggling now. He's dropping bags of time to the drivers ahead. Something's happened to Portugal's car here. Such a shame, as it was looking like a real good race for Rodrigo today. Race 1 was really good, and he's still in the top 10. He is still in 9th place. And somehow I've got to pick a driver of the day, and I had this dilemma last week as well. Now, a bit of a golden rule of mine is driver of the day cannot be repeated 2 races on the trot. Cannot be. So, Quintal was my driver of the day last week. He's not my driver of the day this week. He can't be. Who else am I going to pick here? Who else am I going to pick? That's Tim Johnson moving very slowly on the side there. A lot of damage. I know that's the same livery as Michael Clough, but it isn't. It is Tim Johnson, rest assured. Paul Hans has actually gained on Quintal here. He's pulled back in a few tenths. Now, I wonder if Quintal's tyres are getting to a point where they're really not serving well, and Paul Hans has maintained his tyres enough to do the job in the final minutes of this race. I wonder. There is the Portuguese driver just up ahead. Oh, as the Mercedes going very slow up ahead, and that's going to allow Paul Hans to pounce to the left side, probably not the better side. Through the butte they go, and into the Villeneuve chicane they'll go. Paul Hans takes the lead in this race. He retakes Quintal, and ahead of him he goes. Quintal seems to be struggling with the tyres here. He cannot keep up. He cannot keep up, and he's really feathering the throttle here. What can he do to respond? Paul Hans takes the lead with 2 minutes to go in this race. There'll be maybe 1 lap remaining when they get to the line. It might be 2 laps remaining. Oh, as Hans' rear end gets very squirrely coming out of the hairpin there. This is going to be a big battle between these two on the final laps here at Zolder Circuit. Through he goes. Oh, he goes a little bit wide, but that might be okay. Oh, I'm not sure actually. It's quite a good exit from Quintal. He's going to take to the inside, going into turn number 1. Can Paul Hans keep hold of it? He's going to power it around the outside, not giving much room, and he's going to keep it to the inside going into turn number 2. This is the view from Quintal. He's going to have to try and undercut here. Paul Hans hangs on for the moment. This is the battle for the win. There's going to be another lap remaining after this one. Around turn 4 they go. This is the view from Hans' rear wing into the chicane. We do know the BMW's generally better through here, and oh, by heck, it was really quick through that chicane there, and that means that an overtaking opportunity in Villeneuve is not really on the cards for Quintal. Quintal, who's done so well tonight. 2nd place in race 1, 2nd place right here, right now, and he was looking like a repeat of Donington Park last time out. But Hans has looked after his tyres really well tonight, and driven really well, and for that reason I'm giving Paul Hans driver of the day. Regardless of the result right here, he's really impressed me tonight. Paul Hans, our Crest Autosport driver of the day tonight. But the race still rages on. He'll start his final lap. He'll wish it was 20 seconds more into the future right now. But he's doing so well. He's pulled a more than half a second gap from Diogo Quintal there. He starts his final lap of this race. Into turn 1 we go. What can Quintal do here? His tyres must be really on the edge. Oh, and that's it. It's gone. The rear tyres just completely let go there. On Quintal, you literally saw it happen. And through goes Clough. He takes 2nd place from Quintal. And I think it's a puncture. I think it is a puncture for Quintal. Through goes Mikov. He's really struggling to keep hold of that. Ollie Jansen's come in, and that's it. The car's spinning around. He's really struggling to keep it going. He's going to lose more positions. Ollie Jansen goes through. 5th place right now for Quintal. It's all gone pear-shaped in the last few laps. This man leads. All he has to do is get it through the final few corners to take his first win of the season. The man who, I'll be honest, took the mick a little bit. I said he's the guy who loves to come 3rd place. He's not. He's the man who's coming 1st place in this race. What a drive in this race from this man. Quintal is still spinning. You can see the collapsed rear end of the puncture. He's dropped behind Nigel Stock, Elliot House and Jeff Perkis, and potentially Rodrigo Portugal is all falling away. And this is really going to put the championship up in the air for all these drivers here. But our winner of the race, for the time being, let's celebrate the race winner as he takes a very emphatic exit from the final corner. Paul Hans is, for the first time ever, a Crest Autosport Race Room League's race winner. And he's a driver of the day for tonight. Fantastic performance from him. Michael Clough takes it through into 2nd place. And you know what? That might well have helped his championship prospects there. And he takes 2nd place. Nikolai Mikov takes 3rd place. And a first podium for him. Gathering, he's new to the series. That's brilliant as well for him. Ollie Jansen takes 4th position in the Mustang. Elliot House takes 5th. Nigel Stock, biggest mover, an honourable mention for the driver of the day. Nigel Stock takes 6th position with big moves through the field in that 2nd race. Jeff Perkis 7th position. Quiet night for him, but he'll take the points there. Rodrigo Portugal was rather impressive tonight as well. And Quintal still can't get it to the line. He's really struggling. He's got to get it to the line. He can't quit out. He knows if he does not finish, he doesn't score points. He's safely in 9th here. Oh, he's just really struggling to keep hold of the car. But here's our results. Here's our results as Quintal does come across the line to 9th place. It is Paul Hans who takes the win and our Driver of the Day award. Michael Clough takes the bonus points of fastest lap and 2nd place. 3rd place goes to Nikolai Mikov and Ollie Jansen in 4th position. Elliot House takes 5th position from Nigel Stock, the biggest gainer of the field, in 6th. Jeff Perkis takes 7th position with Rodrigo Portugal in 8th and his compatriot in 9th place, who lost out on the win in the final moments of the race. Remo Schneider rounds out the top 10 one lap down. Carl Smith with 11th place with Pessoa Santos in 12th. Lee Balmer in 13th with Alex Ward in 14th. Gab Lopez in 15th place with Tim Johnson in the following position. Well, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. What a night of racing that was. That was superb to watch. One of my favourite rounds I've seen for a long time. Really, really impressed with the driving tonight. Paul Hans was the winner of race 2 tonight, and the winner of race 1 was Steph Kramers. And I'm not really sure what it's going to do to the championship results heading out of tonight, but do go over to crestautosport.com to find out. If you want to, join the Facebook groups to keep an eye on all the results and publishments and that sort of thing. Or get involved in the series. Look at all the links in the description and you will find the groups and relevant pages you need to get involved. But that was the World Touring Car Challenge, ladies and gentlemen. Round 2 of the championship hosted at Circuit Zolder. Where are we off to next? Well, next we're at Paul Ricard. Now, this is the 3rd time I'm saying this. It's not everyone's favourite track in the world. I know it isn't. But it's going to be a good one for this one. It's a good layout for these cars. A big, long straight, which is going to invite the Mustangs in for some very, very good battling in those races. That's where the Mustang excels, on those big, long straights. So next time out at Paul Ricard on the 23rd of February. Join us live on YouTube, Crest Autosport TV. From 7:45 UK time to catch all the action as it happens live. But from us, ladies and gentlemen, this has been round 2 of the championship. Thank you very much for watching. Please do give the video a like. Please do give us a subscribe on the channel and hit the notifications bell so you know when we are live next with any of our leagues. Thank you very much for watching. I've been Alex Everett, your host and
your commentator tonight. We'll see you next time at Paul Ricard. Thank you for watching.